財委會正式開始，我哋有足夠人數。
We've got a quorum already. I think we should start.
今日我哋安排咗2節嘅會議。
So we've arranged 2 sessions of meetings. Concerning pecuniary interests, I want to remind members that if they have direct or indirect pecuniary interests, then under ROP 83A, please disclose your interest and the nature of your interest before you speak. And may I also refer you to ROP 84 concerning voting requirements if there is direct pecuniary interest.
古洞北
Kutong North and also Fanling North. In fact, I already... Mr. Wong Yok Man, please be seated. Mr. Wong Yok Man, please be seated. It's a point of order. Sorry, the speaker is off mic. Mr. Wong Yok Man, let me remind you once again. Please be seated. I will handle that. Please be seated. I will handle that. If you... So, these matters will be handled by the Secretariat. And concerning points of order, they will be recorded by the clerk. Are you talking about 37A? This is not a point of order. How come they can't have access to the 5th floor? That's clerk who will handle that. Then can my secretary go to the 5th floor? I'll call your name. Mr. Kenneth Leung, is it a point of order? On the 20th of June, we have AM 60540, and that's the Electoral Commission's circular. Now concerning all of us in this chamber, are we those who are allowed into this complex, including page 2? I don't think this is related to the point of order. Now, because we have unauthorized persons who have come in, and then visitors are not allowed into this complex. This is not a point of order. Chairman, do we have unauthorized people who have come in? I want to know the definition of visitors. Who are the visitors? For those who've got their cards to come in, the government officials, are they visitors? Stop, please. Stop, please. Order, please. Mr. Wong Yok Man. Sorry, the speaker is off mic. Sorry, the speaker is off mic. Order, please. I would like to say this once again. If it's a point of order, I will deal with it immediately. But then concerning management issues, they will be dealt with by the Secretariat. So please do not speak until and unless I call your name. Otherwise, I will invoke upon Section 45 of the ROP concerning members' disorderly conduct. So I'll continue to talk about the arrangements for today's meeting. Now, if you continue to speak, I will have to deal with that.
有冇係規程嘅問題？
Any point of order? I will deal with a point of order first, but please raise your hands first, and then I will ask the clerk to jot down your names, and then I'll find out what points of order you wish to raise. And I think chaos will not be conducive to our meetings. All right, KK Fong, Albert Ho, Kenneth Leung, KK Kwok, and Claudia Mo. So, anyone who would like to raise any issues under 37A? No? Then I will invite these few members to speak briefly. And also Ms. Sit Ho. All right, so I will deal with these issues. So please speak in that in this order, and please be concise. Mr. KK Fong, I would like to move a motion for adjournment. The situation has changed because of the incident that occurred last Friday. The Pandemocrats have written to Mrs. Carrie Lam, and on Wednesday we met the villagers. We also had a meeting with you, and yesterday we had another meeting with you, and we felt that next week there should be a meeting involving Mr. Paul Chan, you, and the villagers. And so I think we should not vote on the matter today. Let's all cool down, and let's have the meeting next week. And as a result, we can today deal with the livelihood issues or the item on the redevelopment of the hospital. So I hope that you will allow this motion to adjourn the proceedings. And let's try to buy time so that we can resolve the matter. Next, Mr. Albert Ho. All right, I will let all the members speak first. Mr. Albert Ho, Chairman. But he has moved a motion for adjournment. It's a motion for adjournment. The clerk, please. Mr. KK Fong has suggested that Section 39 of the FC procedure be invoked upon. In other words, further proceedings or further discussion on the item should be adjourned. And in fact, this motion was defeated on the 2nd of May, and so we will not deal with the same motion a second time. All right, the reply is clear. Will not make such arrangements. The reply is clear. All right, I will not go into the details. Can a clerk reply briefly? May I refer members to Section 32 of the ROP? Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Albert Ho, I want to talk about this meeting. Which officials are present and who have accompanied these officials. The Electoral Commission has made a decision not to allow visitors in today. But then, of course, officials will be an exception because they do have certain duties to perform during our meetings. But then I wish to clarify one point concerning those present today, those in the conference room today. Are there officials who shouldn't have been allowed in? Or I'm referring to, in fact, Section 17. Section 17. Okay. Mr. Kenneth Leung, I think Mr. Albert Ho has expressed my concerns. Now, visitors are not allowed unless with your authorization. So concerning which officials can come into the complex and who can accompany them, I think we have to clarify the matter. We have to look at who shouldn't have been allowed in but have been allowed in. Mr. KK Kwok. Chairman, you are a member of the Electoral Commission. And we have these motions, and because of your arrangements, many of my assistants can't come into the complex today. And as the chairman of the FC, how come you've allowed this to happen? In this finance committee, we are still dealing with the development of Northeast NT, and our assistants, our staff are trying to dig up new or find new documents for us. And in fact, Mr. Paul Chan has promised a meeting, and in fact, we are liaising with the Development Bureau as to whether there can be meeting arrangements with the villagers. And I think as a electoral commission member, you shouldn't have made such a decision. You have handicapped the work of FC members, and I want to express my deepest regret. And I think it's unfair if you want to initiate proceedings under Section 37A, because many of our staff can't come to the complex. In fact, some of them, need to help us prepare 37A. And as Mr. KK Fong has said, there have been new developments in this council, in this complex. We're not able to discharge our duties and do our work. So we shouldn't continue with the proceedings. I think Ms. Claudia Mo should speak before me. Ms. Claudia Mo. All right, Ms. Claudia Mo. Chairman, I know that this meeting is going to be a difficult one. But, Chairman, at least you are better than Mr. Andrew Leung, because you allow us to speak and you haven't imposed a 1-minute limit on our speeches. Now, if there is a case in court, and then if there is new evidence, if there are new developments, the court will consider an adjournment. Now, they are nodding their heads. It's true that, is it that the same motion can't be moved again at this meeting? And the Electoral Commission has decided that only certain categories of people can be allowed in, and others cannot be allowed in. So, journalists, I was told, could be allowed in. But then downstairs, I was told that the Secretariat had worked out a list of journalists or organizations allowed in. So there is a black list. So is it that the Secretariat can selectively restrict the public's right to know? Is it that only certain organizations can be allowed in and not the others? All right, Ms. Sit Ho. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. On the 2nd of May, all right, we have Wong Yok Man, Alan Leung, and James Toh. All right, anyone else? Points of order. Anyone else? If members continue like that, I can't really conduct the meeting effectively. And also Leung Yu Chung, Chang Kwok Chu, Wu Chi Wai as well, and also Chen Chi Chun. How come we're not allowed to press the button? If we can press the button, at least we know the order. At least we know the speaking order. Ms. Sit Ho. Ms. Sit Ho. Chairman, thank you. On the 2nd of May, a colleague moved a motion to adjourn the discussion or the proceedings. Today is the 20th of June. Over the past month or so, many questions were asked. So, is it a point of order? Section 39. Section 39 of the FC procedure. Discussion on the item of further proceedings of the committee be now adjourned. I want to say that over the past month, many questions were raised by members, and many of them have not been answered. I think it's common practice for officials to jot down members' concerns and give us replies the following week. But then, during this meeting, we see that officials keep repeating themselves. We asked about the population policy. We could not understand why the population would reach 8.4 million, and as a result, we needed to develop this vast piece of land. So, as a point of order, adjournment of proceedings, Ms. Mo asked how come 37,000 jobs could be created, and we haven't got a reply yet. And also, Chairman, we saw conflicts and confrontation in the past 2 weeks. The situation has deteriorated. All right, I think I've noted your point. I think your point has been understood. Next, Mr. Wong Yok Man. Mr. Wong Yok Man. Oh, he's not in the chamber. Oh, he's not in the conference room. All right, I think we need to move on to another member. Mr. Wong Yok Man, a point of order? Chairman, there are these security measures implemented by the Electoral Commission, and I think the Electoral Commission is asking the police to take over this complex. Is it a point of order, please? Which section? Now, if there is a fire or if there is a fire report, how are you going to deal with it? And the Electoral Commission members owe us an explanation. Why is it that it's like we're having a curfew here? This is not a point of order. Why not? What if there is a fire? What if there is a fire? I think you have been asked to raise points of order. And concerning the Electoral Commission's decision, these matters will be dealt with by the Secretariat.
Let me say this again. The Electoral Commission has already decided on the arrangements. There are arrangements. Now you're chairing the meeting. Once again, Mr. Wong Yok Man, let me say this to you again. We have already given you a reply. If you would like to ask questions, we'll ask you to speak again. Mr. Alan Leong, Mr. Chairman, last time, it was on the 13th of June, that is last Friday, there was a motion to adjourn the proceedings. Since then, the Pan-Democrats wrote to the CS4A, that's on the 17th of June. On the 18th, we met with those residents to be affected as well as Chairman yourself. Now, can you confirm that with your efforts, the Secretary for Development, Mr. Paul Chen, has already agreed that next week they are going to, together with the residents affected, the Bureau, as well as the legislators, have a meeting. Don't talk about the substance. No, I'm not about substance. Talk about the points of order. I want to challenge the assistance given to you. Just now, the SG said that as a result of Rule 37A, there has already been a handling of the motion to adjourn the proceedings, even if Paul Chen has agreed to meet with the residents so that we don't have to allow tensions to rise. I don't know why you won't allow other items to be dealt with first. We met, we saw Mrs. Carrie Lam. She was fierce. She said that if we were to allow for a deferment, there could be no governance. I want to ask, even if you can get it voted for, even if you get approval today, do you think that you can claim that you can govern Hong Kong? Now, it has been moved once. Now, even if we have got a very relevant change, doesn't mean that we can change it. You would rather rely on the riot police. You would rather have a standoff with the public so that the electoral is to be turned into a fortress. You have finished? I've finished, but I need a reply. Now, as to what we have been doing, we have already referred to your letters and we've tried to understand the matter. But then the administration has made it very clear as to whether you're happy with the answer. I don't think it can be dealt with under points of order. Mr. James Toh, you have finished. You finish speaking. I've tried my best to give you an answer. I don't think I can start another round of discussion with you. I need a reply. Mr. Chairman, I've already given a reply to you. James Toh. Mr. Chairman, now there may be a judicial review or other procedures to be invoked. So if you are to rely on Rule 39 of the FC procedures, so to deal with the motion to adjourn the proceedings, I don't think it actually spells out the time frame as to within what period of time we can no longer move a similar motion. So unless the Secretariat can clearly tell us under that rule what is to be provided for, we can't move it within the same day, within the same session, out of the two sessions for the same day, or what other time limit are we talking about? You have to be precise. You need to have an express power, or are you relying on the implied power, or are you, as the legal advisor has said, there is an inherent power, that is, it should have been expected to have been given to you. So you need to have a very precise answer. Of course, he's given you one piece of advice, but at least at the end of the day, you need to give an account to us. You have to be accountable to the public as well. Mr. Chairman, I would like to raise three other points. Should I queue up again? Yes, please. If necessary. I think a lot of you are already repeating the same point. You're still talking about the justification for moving a motion to adjourn the proceedings. So I would rather group them together and then give you an answer in one off so that we don't need to take up your time. I have got 2 or 3 other points, and that's not about adjourning the proceedings. It's not about adjourning the discussion on that matter. Well, if you have different topics being raised at different times. Well, if we have important points of order, we have to deal with them first. Make your point as well, but be brief. Yes, we've listened to Mr. Wong Yok Man's speech. Maybe he didn't make himself clear. That's what I want to say. Now, you have to make sure that while you chair the meeting, we have a safe environment to operate. Remember that last time you said that you would like to adjourn the meeting. That's because the Secretariat told you something. Probably you did not want to disclose as to how unsafe it was. But finally, you decided to adjourn the meeting. But in what aspect was personal safety jeopardized? Mr. Wong Yok Man raised the fire risk. Now, we are all locked up. If we continue with the meeting, if there is an arson or if there is a false fire alarm, people may be trampled upon and there may be casualties. Well, let me say clearly what I'm asking for. I hope you will clarify with the Secretariat. I've already said that when there's anything new, I will tell you. It's not about whether someone would storm into the building. I just want to know whether we can leave, we can escape. If you can't assure me, then I would rather leave now. Well, I hope you can deal with it calmly. I hope you can assure us so that we know that even in the case of fire, we can escape, we can leave. Well, if you regard this as points of order, well, as the chair, I can make sure that you can have the meeting in a safe environment. But if you start to repeat yourselves on this point, I want to assure you that you don't need to worry. We have the instructions from the Electoral Commission. When there is an instruction from the Electoral Commission, I will immediately inform you as what I did, what I had done last time. So I don't think we need to dwell on this point anymore. Next. Be brief. Mr. Chairman, fire. Which point of order? I made a report to the police. I dialed 999 twice. This is not a point of order. You allowed Wong Yuk Man to speak, and James To was allowed to speak. It's unfair. I can't help, but you allowed the two members to speak, but you don't let me speak. Well, it's a brief one. Last week, I made a complaint, and then the secretariat immediately closed the smoke door. Otherwise, they would leave it open. It's unlawful, and I took a photograph. Frederick Fung raised a point about the motion to adjourn. Has been dealt with. No, it hasn't. The secretariat is right. But then if you read paragraph 39, motion to adjourn, and that the proceedings be adjourned. I think the logic is the same. I think Sid Ho also moved a motion to adjourn under Rule 39, but then it was based on a different reason. For Rule 39, it says that when a member was speaking on a proposal. So when we spoke about the Northeast NT development, Frederick Fung would like to move a motion to adjourn. Well, the proposal is different. So every member may either move that the discussion on an item of further proceedings of the committee be adjourned. I hope the legal advisor can tell us the following. He cited, the clerk can give us an answer. He referred to a particular rule in relation to Mr. Fung's question. Please give us the details. I want to check the information. He said that within the same meeting, we could not raise the same point again. But in fact, we have got a new viewpoint, so circumstances have changed. So I want to know whether we can disregard the new information, the new argument. As far as the content or the wording of the motion is the same, then we are barred from doing so. Please ask the legal advisor to speak first. Maybe other members would have other questions as well. Maybe other members are interested in the same point. Maybe the legal advisor should give a reply. Well, to be fair, I have already said that I will listen to all your questions first and deal with them at the same time. Otherwise, there's no end to it. I'm being fair. I would like to give the floor to the legal advisor. In a moment, he will. Well, maybe there are urgent points of order. We can simplify the proceedings. Maybe there will be no more questions from members after it's answered our question. Next, Peter Zhang. Phyllis Zhang. I will be brief. I want to be brief. You don't interrupt me. Mr. Chairman, I think you want us to finish with what we want to say. But then Member A is about something different from what Member B would like to say. So how can you give an overall reply? Let me go back to Frederick Fung's first point. I want to know whether you have already ruled on that point already. This is your question? No. I have to find out the answer before I can move on to my question. I've answered. No, the clerk answered, not the chair. I agreed. Sorry, Chairman, I have to rectify you. The clerk only said that. I think the clerk only referred to what happened in May. On the 3rd of May, there was already one such motion being moved. But he did not go on to say whether we could move further motions. And then Frederick Fung has said that in the light of new information, new developments, whether we could do so or not. But then on what the clerk has said, you said that you had made a ruling, but you haven't really given an answer. Now, once the chair has made a ruling, but I don't think your ruling can really address the point made by Frederick Fung that is in the light of new developments. Well, the rule of procedures has said that I can make a ruling as the chair. No, how can you say that you have ruled? Don't have a discussion with me, not a discussion. We can carry on with the discussion, but we shouldn't discuss the chair's ruling. Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just now, members talked about the question on the motion to adjourn. Now we've been invited to read Rule 32. If there is a discussion, there is a decision that there shouldn't be a voting on that matter, then we shouldn't vote on that again. But then when we read the agenda, I take it to mean that we are having a new meeting again. So it isn't a matter of a part 2 of a previous meeting. So in line with Rule 39, in other words, every time we may move a motion to adjourn the meeting. Of course, Frederick Fong is also saying that in the light of new developments, then we are even more justified to consider the motion to adjourn. So perhaps the clerk should clarify this point. For our FC meetings, does it mean that when we meet on a fresh day, then it is a new meeting, and then we can move a motion again to adjourn the meeting? So maybe the clerk should give an answer first. We will give an overall answer. Mr. Chen Chi-chin, be brief. What point of order? First of all, of course, this is about the motion to adjourn. Now you have the greatest powers and you can have the final ruling, but then your ruling may also be changed. You can change your own ruling. I think the Secretariat can confirm. You did rule that there shouldn't be further questions, but then later on the following day, you opened the floor to questions again. So this is the first minor point. The chair can change his ruling. And then for Rule 39 about the motion to adjourn. Now, assuming that what you said could be substantiated, but then I think the chair could exercise discretion to allow for a new motion to adjourn. You said that on behalf of members, you had referred our points to the government. The government said no, and it's useless to have the motion again. But then if you are unbiased, if you follow the rules of procedures, if you allow motions to be moved, then the government must have the dialogue with us. Now you're relying on the rules of procedure, so you are bearing all the responsibility. The government is trying to ask you to support them, so you have to be responsible for any casualties or injuries should they occur. Now, just now we referred to Rules 17 and 18 of the rules of procedure. And you have already stopped us from asking questions. So what's the purpose of having the attendance of public officers here? I think you should ask them if they want to be here. Maybe you should just release them, ask them to go, let them go home. Now we have the digest for the lazy, and we have also got the counter statement from the Bureau talking about common sense. I think I would like to give a reply. In a moment, I would like to ask the Secretariat to give you a brief reply concerning the motion to adjourn. It doesn't matter. We'll try our best to give an answer. Many members have spoken. I've already said that I would like to give an overall reply instead of jumping from one to another. So I would like to briefly answer the questions asked. Please don't speak. I have asked already, and I have made the arrangement. Please do not have a discussion with me anymore. I have said that we should deal with speakers off mic. I read out the names and I asked all. I don't want to have such emerging again. Let me briefly answer the so-called points of order questions, and then the clerk will answer again. Well, after I've dealt with the earlier batch of questions, should there be supplementary questions or anything outside the scope? As members of the LegCo, I hope we can have mutual respect. Well, please raise your hands. Now, don't do it batch by batch. We can't deal with it. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng, Mr. Chairman. Order, please. Order, please. Quiet, please. I call his name, but it doesn't mean that he can speak. Just a minute, please. Let me say this again. If you want to speak, please raise your hand. You may press the button.
We have already made an arrangement. Now, please press the button if you want to speak. We will make another round of arrangement. Now it's being turned on. So after pressing the button, I haven't pressed the button. Well, we are working on it. The Secretariat is working on it. Please give the clerk some time to answer the questions put forward by many of you. The clerk, please. Thank you, Chairman. Please keep quiet. Now, first of all, I would like to answer members' questions concerning Rule 39. Just now, Mr. Frederick Fong provided us with a letter, and in accordance with Rule 39, he would like to adjourn the discussion of the paper PWSC 2013-1438. And he has taken reference from Rule 32(2), and members have already expressed views on this topic, so we are not going to handle this topic again. And Mr. Albert Chan has already invoked Rule 39, and it was ruled already, and Mr. Albert Chan was aware of that. So for Rule 39, well, would members please take a look at it again? It says that a member, when speaking on a proposal, etc., he can propose an adjournment. Many members hope that the meeting can be adjourned. And if this is the view of members, then in accordance with Rule 39, members can put forward a motion to adjourn. And for last week's agenda is identical as this week's agenda. Members asked, well, there's a slight difference between last week and this week, so how would the chairman handle the motion? Should the motion be discussed by the committee? The chairman can make the final decision later. And members also asked a number of other questions, for example, concerning the security of this building, etc. This is not directly related to today's agenda, and the Commission has already made relevant arrangements. So I don't think it's an appropriate time for us to discuss all this here. I'm sorry, the speaker is off mic. Please be quiet. Otherwise, this will be regarded as a serious misconduct. Now, some members also mentioned government officials, and members can also please take a look. Other than government officials, there are also members of the public here. And we have a list of the government officials, so already they are allowed to enter the complex. So basically, the major questions have been answered, and we have also revisited Rule 39. So I hope that members will not discuss Rule 39 anymore. Well, I will make a decision now. I've heard many different views, and you actually focused on several points. Some of you talked about adjournment, and you also talked about the officials attending today's meeting. You also talked about the security of the complex. So I think as the chairman, I can now continue with the meeting. A number of members have already pressed their buttons, and they all want to make a point of order. As the chairman, I have the right to make arrangements. Now I understand what you are concerned about. And previously, you also talked about Rule 37A. So at the last meeting, we made the decision, and members were very concerned about the decision, which was made in accordance with Rule 37A. So now I give each member 3 minutes. Well, just now I heard a lot of your views. It's not that I haven't handled this matter. So now I would like to discuss with you. And I hope that you can be patient. Let us deal with some of the problems first, and then we will look at the remainder. So if there are points of order, please let me know what they are about. Otherwise, this will be endless. And you will give the public an impression that we are just making use of the points of order and we procrastinate forever. So please let me know what kinds of points of order are you talking about. 39 first. Just now the clerk has already talked about 39. And now let us start another round of discussion. After dealing with Rule 39A, I will look at that. I'm sorry, all the speakers are speaking off mic. Please give me a moment. I'll discuss with the clerk. Okay, I'll make a ruling now. Now, Mr. Frederick Fung just asked about Rule 39. I will ask Mr. Fung again. Please repeat your question. Do you want to move a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Chairman. According to Rule 39, I would like to move a motion to adjourn the discussion of the paper. In order to resolve the political crisis brought about by the development of NANS, on the 17th of June, we have signed a letter. That is, 23 members of us have signed a letter to the CS. We hope that the discussion concerning the development of NANS be deferred so that the conflicts in society can be resolved. And on the 18th of June, we had the meeting with the NANS residents. We hope that we can be a bridge so that there can be more communications. The affectees and the villagers have shown their good intention. They say that they are not going to try to storm into the electrical complex again. And yesterday, you also talked to the Democrats. The meeting was held, and you said that Mr. Paul Chen has already promised that in the coming week he will be meeting with the NANS residents. Now, because the Secretary for Development will be meeting the NANS residents, I think communication is the best way to resolve the present crisis. So as for the application for funding for the advanced works of NANS, I don't think it's the appropriate time for us to do that. So today we are supposed to talk about Kutong North new development area and Fanning North new development area and the relevant detailed design and site investigation funds. So in accordance with Rule 39 of the Finance Committee procedure, I propose that we adjourn the discussion of PWSC bracket 2013-14-38. We should look at other funding applications first because they are related to people's livelihood. In the past week, there have been a lot of debates and rows and disputes, and I think it is a good opportunity for the relevant stakeholders to sit down next week to talk, and that is the best way to resolve the problem. If we continue to discuss today, the situation will only get worse. So I think we should adjourn the discussion of this today, and we should wait for the communication next week. That would be the best way out. So I am moving this motion. It is because of the latest development of the situation. It's different from the last time. I will ask the clerk to give you an explanation. Clerk, well, just now maybe I have not explained myself very clearly. Now, Mr. Frederick Fung, now you want to move a motion to adjourn the meeting, not to adjourn the discussion of the paper. I just don't want to discuss this present paper. We can discuss other issues. He is talking about this particular paper. He wants to discuss other papers first. Please be quiet. Let us ask the legal advisor to say something. Please keep quiet. Legal advisor, Chairman, maybe I can assist the committee to have a better understanding of Rule 39. Just now, the clerk has already talked about Rule 32 of the Rules of Procedures. He said that where the Council has taken a decision on a specific question and the question has been decided and negative, no further motion shall be moved in relation to that question during the current session. As for Rule 39, for the first sentence, there are two possibilities. First is about adjourning the discussion of an item. And if there are still other items on the agenda, then those other items can be discussed automatically. The order can be advanced. Now, for the adjournment of discussing a particular item, we handled it last time. So in accordance with the past practice of the FC, this actually is quite clear. In 2009, when we handled the XRL funding application, On the 18th of October at 3 p.m., members debated on a motion to adjourn, and it was decided in the negative. And then on the 16th of January 2010 at 9 a.m., another member also hoped to move a motion to adjourn on the same topic. At that time, after discussion, the FC also decided that under such circumstances, the same motion could not be moved. So this is for members' reference. And this was the practice of the FC. And I would like to supplement. Now for Rule 39, when it comes to motion to adjourn, there are two parts. So this is about the first part, that is discussion on an item. And the other part is about adjourning the whole meeting. And the consequence is, well, for the items to be discussed that day, if the motion is passed, then all the discussions of the relevant items would be stopped because the meeting is adjourned. Well, Frederick Fong, just now the legal advisor has clarified. Mr. Fong, I'm asking that this item not to be discussed now. I want to discuss other items. I'm just explaining my stance. Well, the clerk and a legal advisor would have to clarify. The clerk said that as to whether the motion to adjourn will be approved, then it's the power of the chairman. The legal advisor just told us the history, but the chairman has the power to make the decision. So it all hinges on the chairman's judgment. Well, the chairman can say that, well, history is history, because in the past there was no such situation. However, this time it's very clear. We are looking at a new situation now. And this situation was partly created by the chairman. You know that a week ago the world was very different. So can the chairman make a judgment? You shouldn't just heed the comments of the legal advisor. He just told us the history. You should make your own judgment. Now the power is in your hands. Yes, I understand. At the same time, I'll allow Ms. Yip for him to speak. No, he's not going to speak. Okay, now about Rule 39. I think we have to solve this problem. Well, the clerk and both the legal advisor have answered your question. So I think we should make reference to our past practice. And we should not discuss the same thing anymore. But Mr. Frederick Fong asked me to reconsider. So I would have a short dialogue with the clerk. Please give me a moment.
嗱咁樣啦，嗱我已經
Now let us do it this way. Well, when we talk about items, we cannot do it like this anymore. But if you want to adjourn the meeting, I would give you a chance to debate on that. Well, you have the goal is the same, right? Yes, now I understand the situation now. Please wait. I'll ask the clerk to supplement. Chairman, as the legal advisor said just now, he cited the examples of the XRL, and now we are talking about NAND. So for both incidents, motions have been ruled on in the negative by the chairman. And according to Rule 39, if the committee wants to move a motion to adjourn the meeting, actually in the previous two meetings, some members also made such suggestions. And Mr. Oberchan did that. Mr. Ho also did that. So the chairman is considering whether the whole meeting would be adjourned. Past examples have also shown us very clearly that the chairman would have to make a decision in accordance with the rules of procedures and the FC procedures. Now, Mr. Frederick Fung, you do not want to discuss the item, but if we look at the items, I don't think we can do as you wish, because this is the practice of the FC, and I am not going to violate the rules of procedures. We all have to abide by the rules of procedures. Now, if you accept, we can debate whether the meeting should be adjourned. If we all agree on that, then of course I would handle it. I'm sorry, the speaker is off mic. Mr. Wu Chi, why I haven't called your name? I would like to tell you clearly that I would heed the views of the legal advisor. We've heard what was the past practice, and we've heard how in the past conclusions or decisions were made. So we all understand the whole procedures, and now I'm making this suggestion. I suggest that, well, now because Mr. Frederick Fung has invoked Rule 39, he's moving a motion under Rule 39, so we may change his wording in the motion a bit, and then we will continue the debate. Well, Chairman, you wanted me to change my wording? What do you mean? I would like to ask the clerk to follow up.
So, you may want to revise the wording of your motion, and then we can have a debate. I've already explained to you the situation, and do you find the arrangements acceptable? Mr. KK Fong, please. Chairman. So it seems that you are suggesting that I should move a motion to adjourn the meeting, but in fact I only want to adjourn this item, the discussion of this item. I want to discuss the other items on the agenda today. Now, Chairman, in the past 2 days, because of your efforts, a meeting may be held next week between the Development Bureau and the villagers. I think before us is not just a point of order. This is a political issue that we all want to resolve. So, Chairman, please exercise your judgment and allow us to have a debate on a motion to adjourn this item. Now, I think the clerk and the legal advisor have already given very clear explanations. And we've also heard the members' rationale behind proposing a motion under paragraph 39 of the FC procedure. So we are still on paragraph 39 of the FC procedure. Mr. KK Fong. Will you move a motion to adjourn the meeting? If it is not a motion to adjourn the meeting, we can't deal with that motion. Mr. Fernando Zhang, I think we need to have a discussion among ourselves. Can you give us some time to have a discussion among ourselves concerning what motion Mr. KK Fong wants to raise? Is it a point of order? We have 22 members ahead of him. I want to ask a question on this point. We have 22 members queuing up to ask questions on points of order. He can queue up. He can press the button. Yes, it's true that 22 members have pressed the button to ask questions. We are all on this matter. So I'll ask all of you to speak. But Chairman, you said We wanted to ask Mr. KK Fong what motion he would like to raise, and we need some time to discuss with Mr. KK Fong the motion that he is going to move. And can you also take part in our discussion? I want to lobby you to change your decision or your ruling. I want to lobby you into changing your ruling. In fact, we 20-odd members jointly signed the letter. We jointly signed the letter to the CS4A. Now, in fact, this motion is one which can be moved without giving prior notice. But, Chairman, priority or precedence should be given to a motion under para 9 or para 39. I beg your pardon. Now, so we can't deal with another motion to adjourn the discussion of the item before us because that motion has already been moved and defeated. So we want to ask if Mr. KK Fong is willing to move a motion to adjourn the meeting. And then we can deal with other points of order. Can you please adjourn? Let us have a discussion among ourselves. Okay, how many minutes? 10 minutes? Okay, 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. All right, then we'll start again at 4:15. We'll resume at 4:15.